Hi, it's Tina Forsyth here of OnlineBusinessManager.com, another installment of Confessions of a Control Freak. I have to admit, I'm actually having a bit of a grumpy day today. I don't know why I feel compelled to say that, but it's funny, being a Monday, I try to generally record these videos on a Monday. And maybe this is a control freak thing. It's like, oh, I'm too grumpy, I shouldn't do this today. But it's like, this is a reality of what it is to work some days. There's things we need to do, and whether we like it or not, I guess, what is it, as some people like to say, put on your big curl panties and do it anyways. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is this idea of taking responsibility for other people's work. This, I find, is there's kind of two sides of the coin when it comes to being a control freak in our business. There's the work within our business, right? Our own team members, the people doing work for, people doing work for me and for my business, the stuff that's kind of going on behind the curtain, if you will. Then there's also the implications of what it means to have your work go out. I talked in the last video about when our business becomes bigger than us, when my business becomes bigger than me. Part of what starts to happen there, I've had this conversation with a couple of people too recently, the idea of taking responsibility for work that we are providing, services we're providing for ourselves that we no longer have control over. I know people think of this when, for example, if they bring someone on their team to provide services for their clients. This can happen in the virtual support industry where people will create like multi-VA teams. If you're like a coach or a consultant or a trainer, you might bring somebody on board to actually help provide some of those services through your company on behalf of your clients. I know for me, this kind of came about in a somewhat interesting way. And I had this discussion when I was at Andrea's Wealthy Thought Leader event this past weekend, Andrea Lee's event, which was awesome, by the way. And I believe she's doing it again. So you'll definitely want to be checking that one out when she does that event again in the fall. But what it was is that, some people were asking me about when I decided to start training online business managers. See, this was actually a really big decision for me for all kinds of reasons, right? But part of it was, and I distinctly remember having this conversation with a few people when I decided that, okay, I'm going to start training and I'm going to start certifying online business managers. In particular, the certification piece of it, right? Which I believe is very important for many different reasons that I won't get into right here and right now. But part of the decision, part of the stuff that came up for me, part of the control freakiness that came up for me around that was, if I start certifying people and they go out into the world and do what they do, I have no control over them at that point, right? To train someone and to certify them, means they obviously are going to go out and do what they do with that training, with that certification. And yet it becomes a bit of a risk on my part, if you will, to put my name on that, to put my reputation on it, to put my, everything that I am and that I stand for on that. That was actually a really, really big decision for me. And I've been, training and certifying online business managers now for just about a year, actually. Actually coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that, which was pretty exciting. Actually, as we speak, our second group of trainees is going through their certification process this very week, so that's wonderful. But what it is, for me, I remember at the time, it's like, am I ready for that? Am I willing to step out in front of that? Or even put a different way, am I willing to step to the side of it? It's like, I really saw the need that the world needs online business managers. I saw that need. I very much felt it, believed it, know it to be true, and still do, obviously. But my decision at that point became, am I going to be the one to kind of step in front of this whole realm, step in front of what this is to be an online business manager, to help business owners find that level of support when they need it, all of that fun stuff. Am I willing to step in front and be that? Because it is a risk. It was a risk and still is a risk, and always, to a degree will be a risk. I guess business is risk when it comes right down to it. But it was a very, very big risk of like, what if somebody takes the training and they don't do a good job? Really, that's at the heart of it. What if somebody becomes certified and they don't do a good job? That stuff can happen. I don't want it to happen. I'm really looking for it not to happen. But at the same time, once I've trained someone, once they've become trained, certified, and they're out there doing their own thing in the world, I do not have control over them anymore. Nor do I want to or would really be able to in any way, shape, or form. So that in and of itself is a bit of a control freak thing too, right? It's kind of the flip side of it. It's not about getting work done within my business. It's kind of like, hey, what my business is actually, the way my business is structured, the model, what I actually provide to people, that requires me to be able to step to the side of that too. I've been talking to some people recently as well who were like, I'd love to do X in my business, let go of a few things, but I'm just not willing to. My reputation's on the line, you know, and it's like, really, our reputation is always on the line in our businesses. It absolutely is always on the line. But at the same time, I don't know that reputation is something we can control. You know, it's probably not when you think about it, right? Especially in the world of like social media, etc. We can be who we can be and do our best, but I don't know how much you can control reputation. So fascinating discussion, you know, fascinating thing to think about. And yeah, until next time, that's about all I have to say on that topic today, but did want to share my thoughts on that today while it was fresh in my mind, regardless of me being grumpy. Until next time, it's Tina Forsyth of OnlineBusinessManager.com. Take care.